Well, we need a favour for them, don't we, Mark? Yes. Yeah. We need a seconder for those. Councillor Brooks. All those in favour? Approved and carried. Thank you. Councillor reports. Any councillor provide reports? Councillor Lawless.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of things. Getting a bit of feedback somewhere here. I went up to the opening of Kmart the other morning. I think it must have been too early for you. It was at 7:30. You asked me to go up because you were too busy. And look, it was a great event and a terrific thing for the town that the Kmart organisation have taken over that formerly Target store, and they've increased the employment there from 18 to 25. And as I was leaving, the executive from Sydney saw me leaving and chased me down to have a bit of a talk about Yarrawonga, and she was very excited about the possibilities of Yarrawonga and was surprised at what was going on in the town. So I think that it just goes to show you that how important it is to have the right, put our right foot forward to when the people in those sort of positions, particularly from our capital cities and other states, are coming to visit. So it was certainly a well worth attending event. I did say a few words and put in an apology on your behalf and Julie's behalf as well, and I understand that you're both very busy. The other thing that I'd just like to make a comment on, I was, like nearly all of the other councillors, attended the Australia Day event in Tungamar, and it was pretty much rained out, so we had the event inside. And several of the people wanted me to make a comment about Australia Day, and I know that's a very political subject, so I was very careful in what I sort of said, and that so I won't say what I said, but there was, I was blown away by the chairman's comments on Australia Day, who was a proud Indigenous leader, and I must admit I was standing behind him, and I wish that the whole of the country had an opportunity to hear what this person said, and I won't embarrass him by mentioning his name, but I was standing behind him, and I'm prepared to admit I was standing behind him, and I had tears running down my face. It was just a wonderful speech that he made on Australia Day, and it's certainly an event I will not forget. And I sat down with the gentleman afterwards, and who I've known for quite a long time, and he told me his story, and it's a story that's it'd be great that the world could hear his story. But that's all I had, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lawless. Any other councillor reports? No? Okay, thank you. Now we go to public question time. Questions of council are an opportunity for the public to submit a question to the ordinary meeting and receive a response from the council during public question time. So, Simon, you're taking charge of that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just waiting to get online here. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have a few questions that have been submitted. The first one is from Paul Flavel, and the question is, when will negotiations with the Department of Education be divulged by the Shire, and will the community be consulted, including a properly run council survey, about their views concerning the future of the site known as the former Yarrawonga Primary School? And the response from council is, negotiations with the Department of Treasury and Finance have stalled during COVID and been complicated by the state heritage nomination and DEET's consideration of site remediation costs. It's unlikely that a survey would be the preferred method of establishing community views on the site's future. A more engaging approach to the role the site could play in Yarrawonga's future growth would be preferred. The second question, through you, Mr. Mayor, is from Helen White. And her question is, following the provision in the new Local Government Act that councils need to update their community engagement policy, was Moira Shire able to further improve their methods of advising the community of their actions and plans due to the survey conducted? And did council give feedback to both internal and external respondents? So council have updated its community engagement framework to improve methods and diversify channels in which to engage with the public. Council will give further feedback to individual stakeholders after tonight's council meeting. Council are very much looking forward to the first deliberative engagement process, which will be commencing very soon with input sought for the council plan and the financial plan. This deliberative engagement will involve town-centric public meetings with sessions with councillors, questionnaires and surveys online and in hard copy, and pop-ups, to name a few. So please keep an eye on our website, and we will be advertising on multiple channels for details to join the upcoming community panels and to participate. The next question is from John Hay, and in two parts. Why do I need to find an independent building inspector at a cost of $450 when the council has paid employees for building inspectors? And this is relation to the new swimming pools inspection and spas. And the second one is, why has council moved away from questions from the gallery? So the first part of the question, council building inspectors would need to abandon the important work they do for the building industry and bring construction projects to a standstill to divert their time to inspecting what we believe is around 2,000 pools, plus an unknown number of spas. Now, these requirements are a state-imposed requirement, and there's not enough qualified inspectors, unfortunately, to meet that demand. In public question time, as you've seen, John, we are still providing questions from the gallery, and public question time needs to be managed differently during COVID safety requirements. Many councils still don't allow galleries in the chamber, and passing around the microphones during public question time is currently not possible. The last question from Mary Cooper. Have any architect plans been drawn up for the Yarrawonga Multisport Stadium and approved by Moira Shire? And if they have, why haven't they not been on public display? The plans are still being finalised, Mary, with the architect, and once completed, will move to the Stadium Committee for approval and then be put on public display. And just note that the project is reliant on substantial government funding before it can proceed. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Simon. We'll continue on with 10, Officers' Report for Determination. 10.1, Office of the CEO. 10.1.1, Numurkah Show as a substitute public holiday for the appointed Melbourne Cup Day holiday in 2021. Can I have a councillor move that motion? Councillor Martin.
Yes, I'd like to move that council, in accordance with Section 8A of the Public Holidays Act 1993, request the Minister for Small Business to declare a full-day public holiday within the Numurkah district as defined on the attached map on Wednesday, the 20th of October 2021, for the Numurkah Show as a substitute public holiday for the appointed Melbourne Cup Day holiday in 2021.
Thank you, Councillor Martin. Can I have a councillor second that motion, please? Councillor Limbrick. Councillor Martin, you wish to speak to it?
Yes, we're into our 11th year of hopefully passing this tonight. Hopefully we do have a show this year. Unfortunately with COVID, we didn't last year. This doesn't include the whole Shire, but it's an area that was mapped out with the previous Shire of Numurkah, and it's worked really well. And without this holiday, we don't have the school children there, and without the school children there, we really don't have a full show. So it's really important for Numurkah to have this alternative holiday. So I commend that we do that.
Thank you, Councillor Martin. Councillor Limbrick.
I think Councillor Martin's covered it fairly well. Nothing further to add.
Thank you, Councillor Limbrick. Any other councillor wish to speak to that motion? Councillor Martin, you wish to sum up? All those in favour of the motion? Carried. Thank you. 10.1.2, Councillor Appointment, an Oath and Officer Declaration. Can I have a councillor move that? Councillor Brooks, please.
Item number, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item number 10.1.2, that council note that Councillor Cox as the elected councillor following the Victorian Electoral Commission countback, and number 2, that Councillor Cox's oath of office declaration. So the Victorian Electoral Commission conducted their countback procedure to fill an extraordinary vacancy in
Hold on a
Morris.
second,
Sure.
we need to move that. So
Sure.
could I have a Councillor Lawless? Okay, thank you. Councillor Brooks, you wish to speak to it now?
Thank you. The Victorian Electoral Commission conducted the countback procedure to fill an extraordinary vacancy in the Shire following the very sad passing of our friend and colleague, Councillor Andrew Goldman. On the 11th of January 2021, the VEC held a live countback process via video link, and as a result of this countback, Councillor Edward Cox was elected as a Morris Shire councillor. And on the 14th of January 2021, Councillor Cox made his oath of office declaration in front of family, councillors and in the council offices in the briefing room. This declaration was also streamed live.
Thank you, Councillor Brooks. Councillor Lawless.
Only just to endorse Councillor Brooks's comments.
Thank you, Councillor Lawless. Any other councillors wish to speak to that motion? Councillor Brooks, you wish to sum up?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd just like to take this opportunity to congratulate Councillor Cox, welcome him back to council and acknowledge his outstanding contribution to council over many years.
Thank you, Councillor Brooks. Okay, all those in favour of the motion? Carried. Thank you. You can put your hand up, Councillor Cox. Why don't you want to be counted? Don't you want to be counted? Okay, 10.2.1, Councillor Code of Conduct. I need a councillor to move that motion, please. Councillor Lawless. Now, I'm just going to say that directly after we move this and approve it, Simon will come around to get individual signatures from all of us. Thank you, Councillor Lawless.
The recommendation is that council adopt the updated and revised Councillor Code of Conduct.
Thank you, Councillor Lawless. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Cox, Councillor Lawless, you will speak to it.
Just briefly, Mr Mayor, it is a bit of a formality, but it's to conform with the Local Government Act that we do this. The code has been prepared with a range of resources, including best practices from Local Government Victoria and other councils. And also it must be revised within 4 months of an election. That's why it has been brought to before council.
Thank you, Councillor Lawless. Councillor Cox, any other councillors speak to that motion? Okay, Councillor Lawless, you don't want to sum up either? You're okay with that? All those in favour? Carried, thank you. Now we'll just get this document signed. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. 10.2.2 Community Engagement Policy. Could I have a councillor move that motion, please? Councillor Cox. Did you have your hand up? Yes, you did. I saw you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. Sorry, Mr Mayor, that council adopt the community engagement policy.
Could I have a councillor second that motion? Councillor Lawless. Councillor Cox, you wish to speak to it?
No, I reserve my right, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Lawless, you wish to speak to it?
Yes, I think that this is a very important policy that needs to be revised all the time. We need to understand the needs and concerns of our community. The survey conducted in August 2020 to seek community feedback on a preferred method of communication and understand the best ways to hear back from our community. That went for 5 weeks. I think we had 60 respondents. And I think that may be relevant to one of the questions that was asked at question time. Also, the draft policy was posted on our website on the 23rd of December for another 5 weeks, and we had another 7 respondents. So there's been plenty of time for people to express their pleasure or displeasure with the way we're communicating with the community. There was a further face-to-face with community members on the 20th of June, which in the 4 major towns, that's Cobram, Numurkah, Yarrawonga and St James. Sorry, not St James. What's the other town I missed out?
Tungama.
Nathalia, yes. Sorry, Councillor Burke. And And so I hope the policy reflects those consultations. I think that's the main thing that we're not. It's really important that people make a contribution to these because, and even I don't think we should judge it by the number of people that respond. I think it's a policy that's it's a living document that's ongoing all the time, and I thank the people for responding to it.
Thank you, Councillor Lawless. Any other councillors? Councillor Martin.
Yes, I'd just like to have noted, I think it's really, really important that we do have good community engagement. And I see areas for improvement with our SurveyMonkey that we, and lots of firms and that use them. And quite often, there's often not the room there to explain why you've made that choice, or there's an alternative choice that you can make. So I think that's really important because we want to get to the reason why people tick this box or that box so that it just doesn't become a flick and tick sort of thing. And I think it's really important that that we really do listen to our stakeholders and we get back to them, and that everybody is aware of what comments or submissions that they've put in. That's really, really important because this is if people feel engaged with their shire, and there's obviously, I don't think there's enough that are really engaged with the process, but this is how we can really improve things. So this is it's an exciting time ahead, and hopefully COVID sort of fades away. But when we engage with our communities, that's when we're really firing on all cylinders. And I think, we can only move up with this. It needs to improve. So I look forward to, working to improve that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Martin. Any other councillors wish to speak to that motion? Councillor Cox, I don't think you want to sum up. You don't. All those in favour of the motion? Carried. Thank you. Okay, 10.2.3, Council Plan 2017 to 2021 half-year performance report. Could I have a councillor move that motion, please? Councillor Cox, go on.
The council noted the progress achieved towards the 2017-2021 council plan performance indicators, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. Could I have a councillor second that motion, please? Councillor Lawless. Councillor Cox, you wish to speak to it?
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. This is a leftover council plan from our previous council, as we've planned each time, and we've sat down as a council together for a council plan. And I just think it's an incredibly important document to relate, as well as our budget, as well, Mr Mayor. And all this key work should be done. So online, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. Councillor Lawless.
Just to add a little bit to Councillor Cox's comments, there's 28 indicators to measure the council's success in delivering the intent of our plan, and in such areas as the Great Place to Live, which some of the things that have been achieved there are the development of the 3 out of 4 community hubs, and other things that come into that area, completion of measurement of completion of capital grants. And the other section of thriving economy, and that's measured by, well, what we've, one of the things that as an indicator there is the how much investment have you attracted to the Shire. And there's some obvious ones in the clean green environment, which is part of our waste management and providing education to the community on best practices on waste management. And a well-run council is another area that we have to look at, and the main thing is that we need to comply with the obligations of the Local Government Act. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, councillors. Any other councillors wish to speak to that motion, which is Councillor Martin? Thank you.
Thank you. This is a really important document, and we're busy working on the new one, but it's this document that actually informs our budget. We work out what we see ahead for our Shire, and then we build the budget around that. So very important document. So please read it.
Thank you, Councillor Martin. Any other councillors wish to speak to that? Councillor Mansfield.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to comment on this this document. It's been put together well. All our performance indicators are on track. Council continues to have a strong, sustainable position, and the newly elected council will be creating a new 4-year council plan, 4-year budget, and a 10-year long-term financial plan in the near future. And I'll look forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mansfield. Any other councillors wish to speak to the motion? Councillor Cox, you wish to sum up? They haven't left much for you, have they? They covered it well. Thank you. All those in favour of the motion? Carried. Thank you. Okay, 10.2.4, quarterly budget review, December 2020. Could I have a councillor move that one, please? Councillor Lawless.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The recommendation that council notes the projections of the 2021 financial year contained in the December 2020 quarterly budget review, and 2, that council notes the environmental upgrade agreement quarterly performance report.
Thank you, Councillor Lawless. Could I have a councillor second that motion, please? Councillor Brooks, did you second that motion?
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, Councillor Lawless, you wish to speak to it?
Just a few short things. The report has, through the last term of council, has always shown a balance sheet. It shows a balance sheet and cash flow statement is strong, and it reflects the September budget surplus that was indicated at 1.01 million has been upgraded to a December forecast of 1.27 million. This is due to revenue generated from rates and charges on supplementary properties, valuations, and income from planning and building fees.
Thank you, Councillor Lawless. Councillor Brooks.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just to reiterate what Councillor has just mentioned about the impressive surplus. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillor wish to speak to that motion? Councillor Lawless, you wish to sum up? All those in favour of the motion? Carried. Thank you. 10.25 LGPRF 2020/21 half-yearly report. I need a councillor to move that one, please. Councillor Cox, sorry. I was trying to shake it somewhere else, Councillor Cox, but that's all right.
Motion, Mr Mayor, the council note the progress towards the local government performance reporting framework for the first 6 months of 2021.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. Could I have a councillor second that motion, please? Councillor Elliott. Councillor Cox, you wish to speak to it?
I reserve my right, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Elliott, you wish to speak to it?
Reserve my right, Mr Mayor.
Any other councillor wish to speak to it? Councillor Lawless.
Just one comment there that I think this policy, it's similar to one of the other ones. There's 58 indicators of financial and non-financial based on local government framework, and so it's good to see there's a framework out there to see that we are making sure that we're progressing and reporting properly.
Thank you, Councillor Lawless. No other councillor wish to speak to it. Councillor Cox, you don't want to sum up? All those in favour of the motion? Carried. Thank you. 10.2.7 sale of council land policy review. Could I have a councillor move that motion, please? Oh, did I jump one? I did too. Sorry about that. I was trying to get to my... Right here, 10.2.6 rates and charges policy review. Could I have a councillor move that one, please? Councillor Cox.
The Mayor, the council revoke its rates and charges policy, Mr Mayor.
Could I have a councillor second that motion? Councillor Lawless. Councillor Cox, you wish to speak to it?
Just briefly, Mr Mayor, it's just our policy that we're revoking. We're not stop charging rates or anything else like that, Mr Mayor, and our charges. So yeah, it's just an original policy that we've reviewed, Mr Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lawless, you wish to speak to it?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think this has come out of the last Local Government Act, which and we had adopted this policy the last time or revised in 2016. With the review of the legislation, it has been determined that we're no longer required to duplicate what is covered in the Local Government Act, and hence this motion coming forward.
Thank you, Councillor Lawless. Any other councillor wish to speak to that motion? Councillor Cox, you wish to sum up? All those in favour of the motion? Carried. Thank you. You might have to get a coffee break, Mark. No, we keep going. 10.2.7 sale of council land and policy review. Could I have a councillor move that motion, please? Councillor Lawless.
The recommendation that council revoke its sale of council land policy.
Thank you, Councillor Lawless. Could I have a councillor second that motion? Councillor Brooks, thank you. Councillor Lawler, you wish to speak to it?
This is very similar to, Mr Mayor, to the last policy that was revoked. We adopted this in 2013, the last time, or it was revised. And the review was determined as it's not required as is covered under the Local Government Act under best practice guidelines for sale and exchange and transfer of land. So it is a formality, and I think that it's good that we're probably just following a policy that rather than reinventing one that's already would be best practice.
Thank you, Councillor Lawler. Councillor Brooks?
Nothing further. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Any other councillors wish to speak to it? Councillor Lawler, you wish to sum up? All those in favour of the motion? Carried, thank you. Rightio, 10.3 community, nil. 10.4 infrastructure, 10.4.1 Cobram Visitor Information Centre renovation works. Could I have a councillor move that one? Councillor Elliott. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move that council award the contract for the Cobram Visitor Information Centre renovation works to Ultra Project Services Proprietary Limited, and to authorise the CEO to sign and seal the contract documents.
Thank you, councillor. Could I have a councillor second that motion? Councillor Cox. Thank you. Councillor Elliott, you wish to speak to it?
Yes, Mr Mayor. I'd just like to say that after consideration of all the submissions, the evaluation panel recommends that the contract be awarded to Ultra Project Services Limited. Works under the contract were not estimated to exceed the price required to go to public tender and were advertised as a public quote. The prices submitted slightly exceeded the delegation of the council staff, therefore the recommendation is required to be presented to council. The scope of work includes re-stumping, a new floor, compliant toilet facilities, grease trap, and general improvements to allow a commercial venture to operate the facility. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, councillor. Councillor Cox, you wish to speak to it?
Mr Mayor, this is an iconic building in Cobram. It has a long and checkered history as a former stock agents building in past life. And now it's, as we all know it now, is a tourist information centre of Cobram. And it was a real central and focus point of Cobram. And I'll say it, Mr Mayor, the building was in desperate need of an upgrade. There a lot of renovation work there needed to be done to take it to the next level. And hopefully with the work that we're going to do there and with this successful tender project, that we will be able to secure a really good tenant in there to turn around and take the business forward. And yeah, so a really good outcome, Mr Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Cox. Any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Martin.
I think it's worth noting once we have a building permit, so hopefully that's soon, it'll take 12 weeks. So it'd be good to have it up and running because we've sort of been waiting for this for a long time. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Martin. Any other councillors wish to speak to that motion? Councillor, you wish to sum up?
No, Mr Mayor.
Okay, all those in favour of the motion? Carried, thank you. 10.4.2 C038/20 reconstruction of Power Street in Athalia. Councillor Limbrick.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move the recommendation that council award the contract for C038-20 reconstruction of Power Street in Athalia to Quarrel Civil Construction Proprietary Limited, to authorise the Chief Executive Officer to sign and seal the contract documents.
Thank you, councillor Limbrick. Could I have a councillor second that motion? Councillor Martin. Councillor Limbrick, you wish to speak to it?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. This is a really important piece of infrastructure for Nathalia. The St Mary's School precinct is really busy, and currently the buses are on a unsealed road to try and get them off the major thoroughfares for safety purposes. So this project will construct a sealed road with it's a multi-contribution project between St Mary's, Local Roads Community Infrastructure Fund and Moira Shire. And I think it'll make a significant difference to the future of St Mary's. Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, councillor Limbrick. Councillor Martin.
I think this is great that it's going ahead, and the scope of the work includes excavation to design levels, road pavement construction, bus bays, concrete curb and channel, asphalt overlay to new works, underground drainage works, concrete and granitic sand footpaths, raised school crossing and line marking and signage. So quite a lot of work, and it's hoped that from the start of the works it would take about 16 weeks to complete.
Thank you, councillor Martin. Any other councillors wish to speak to that motion? Councillor Limbrick, you wish to sum up?
Nothing further to add, Mr Mayor.
All those in favour of the motion? Carried, thank you. Okay, actions office list, Neil. Notice of motion, we've got a motion. Councillor Cox? Not yet, okay. Notice of motion, Neil. Petition the joint letters, Neil. We have got one, yes, from Councillor Martin.
Yes, I've got a petition here. There's 209 signatories on it, and it reads as follows. We, the undersigned, petition the Moira Shire to take a leadership role in resolving issues relating to the extremely poor condition of Numurkah Lake. We are aware that the Moira Shire is not the only stakeholder in the lake issues, but recognise that by draining a large section of Numurkah directly into the lake, the Shire has contributed greatly to the poor condition of the water. And then I have 2 further letters to add to this as well, and some photos of good times and then not so good times. So I'll submit those. And if you'd like. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Martin. Okay. 14, cancel seal. Neil, we go into urgent general business. Any cancel with any urgent general business, please? Councillor Mansfield.
I'll move that urgent general business be accepted.
Can I have a seconder, please? Oh, well, we need to know what it is here. We need to know what it is, Councillor Mansfield. We need to know what it is.
It's concerning the fruit fly problem we have in the area and possible lack of funding from the state government.
Thank you, Councillor Mansfield. And Councillor Martin, you second that motion, did you? Councillor Cox, you? All those in favour of the motion, sorry. Carried, thank you. So Councillor Cox, you want to read that out?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move a motion, Mr Mayor, that with the continued support of growers and partner councils, urgent representation be made to the Victorian State Government to continue existing funding for on-the-ground fruit fly eradication programs in Northern Victoria. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. We need to second that one, please. Councillor Lawless, sorry. Councillor Cox, you wish to speak to it further?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This is a very big issue for Northern Victoria and Southern New South Wales, Mr Mayor, with the current fruit industry in the state that we're in. Lack of fruit pickers is one issue, compacted by the lack of backpackers as well. And I needn't mention COVID-19. But the issue is with the just the timing of the state government into the possibility that they're going to cut this funding. And I just don't think that that's the right thing to do, Mr Mayor. Governments get elected and guess what they say? Their leaders say, we're here to govern for everybody. Well, if you're going to govern for everybody, let's start it here in Northern Victoria as well, because our fruit growing industry in this part of the world, in Northern Victoria, Southern New South Wales, is critical, not only for Australian survival for business and employment, because otherwise in the very short time, we won't have our own fruit on the shelves, they'll be imported. So then it'll be all too late. The funding is through the Greater Murray Fruit Fly Project, and originally I think it was about $800,000. And I think now it's down to about $680,000. And it's a partnership between 4 other shires. It's Strathbogie, it is Campaspe, it's Shepparton, and it's Berrigan. So we're not on our own. It has effect with the horticultural industry, which goes right across the eastern seaboard of Australia as well. But Mr Mayor, the thing I really want to take home, the point is, the photo of the local paper today, the front page, is a young family here, or two young brothers here, Manto Produce, with a new product that they're putting out into the world market at the moment. Now, these guys need every opportunity and all the support they can get for their future and for their family's future. And that's why I just think this is so super critical, because if they don't get this support, they lose the incentive to turn around and establish and to think outside their field, to turn around and do something else with the fruit. which in this case is dried fruits, which is really brilliant. So I just think it's critically important that as a council that we acknowledge the role of our own fruit industry here, but to turn around and to let the Premier of Victoria know that one day maybe his wife will go into the supermarket and not buy Australian fruit, but will be buying it from somewhere else. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. Councillor Lawless, he hasn't left much.
No, he certainly hasn't, Mr. Mayor. But he certainly has left an impression on us all and everybody that the passion that there is for to keep this project going. And I certainly don't know as much about the issue as Councillor Cox does and many others, but the timing of thinking about cutting this funding just astounded me. That's the thing that really, to me, is the worst possible thing to do with an industry that perhaps we're seeing a lot of fruit go to waste. And we've, from what I understand about the industry and a few fruit trees themselves, that's the worst situation for the spread of fruit fly. And it certainly would be just disgraceful if a government pulled away from this funding.
Well said, Councillor Lawless. Any other councillor? Councillor Martin.
I see this funding as absolutely crucial because the horticultural industry is just so important to Australia. I also see it as more than just the fruit growers' problem. I think it's everybody's problem because backyard fruit trees and rogue orchards that have just been let go, they sort of they add to the problem. So I think it's we all enjoy our beautiful fruit and veggies, and I think it's up to all of us to sort of contribute to this through, and for the government through their taxes to support us, because it's certainly it's food security and it's jobs, and it's just part of who we are in Moira. So it's extremely important.
Thank you, Councillor Martin. Any other councillor wish to speak to it? Councillor Mansfield.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This program of trying to eradicating the fruit fly, Queensland fruit fly, which is an Australian pest. The government, the 4 councils involved and the government, they're getting terrific bang for their buck. It's been very worthwhile. The surveys they've done has indicated that the fruit fly has decreased in this area, and it hasn't been eradicated, but it's getting under control, and for the state government to terminate their funding arrangements would be detrimental to the fruit industry and the people in this area in general. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mansfield. Any other councillor wish to speak to it? Councillor Cox, you got anything further to add to that one? No? All those in favour of the motion? Carried. Thank you. Okay, this now concludes our open council meeting. For those watching via live stream, thank you for viewing this meeting. Will be available to watch via council website. Thank you.